Hey everyone, it's Mr. Montgomery with a brand new math video for you. We're in a new unit still. We're in Unit 6, and today is actually something pretty fun and something you're very familiar with. We've done related facts before. You probably remember doing that a couple units ago. I think 2 units ago we started doing that, and we do it all the time for problem of the day. Today we're just doing it with some slightly bigger numbers, but it's the same thing. So these three numbers we're going to use, we can add them together to make a big number, and then take that big number and use one of the smaller numbers with it, one of the parts, to find the other part that's already in the addition problem that is going to be above it. So I know I'm talking a lot right now, so let's just dive right into it and let's do some math. Okay, so we're going to start off with a pretty easy one. Uh, you can draw along with me if you like. Don't make yours too big. If you would like some counters, let me know that you want some counters to use. We can totally do that. But I thought we'd pick a pretty fun, easy one to start us off to get us warmed up. And if you notice, we have the same amount of dots on each side. And we've all seen this chart before. Remember, so in this side over here, we'll have one part. Over here, we'll have another part. And then we'll figure out the whole number to write in this tiny box up top. And if you look closely, you'll notice that there are the same number of blue dots as there are red dots. So real quick, let's count up one side and find out how many dots. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so right here for number 1, our first part that we're going to write down is 6, because this section of this frame is one part of our addition sentence. Okay, and now for our second space, we need another number. We can't go on unless we have another number. But we do. We have these red dots right here on the other side of this chart. Okay, so let's count these up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Here we go. So we can even write down the number right here if we want to, so we don't forget which is which. And you might be thinking, I know 6 plus 6, Mr. Montgomery, this is so easy. And what is 6 plus 6? Because we need to finish up this chart first. We don't know what the whole number is. And we wrote our number sentence down here to help us along. So 6 plus 6 is, well, 6 plus 6 we know is 12. So if we want to complete this chart, the number 12 would actually go right up here. So 12 is the whole number for 6 plus 6. But we can also make a subtraction sentence out of this because these three numbers are related facts. They can make their own little fact family, which is pretty cool. But when we make a subtraction sentence, one of these numbers has to go first every single time. There are no excuses. There are no ifs, ands, or buts. One of these numbers has to go first every single time in the subtraction number sentence that we're going to make. Now, real quick, are we going to use the 6 first in the subtraction sentence? Or are we going to use the other 6? Or are we going to use the 12? I'm really hoping you're all just yelling the number 12 at the screen because 12 is our big number. That is our whole number, and that has to be used first for the subtraction sentence. It has to go first because you can't take 12 away from 6. You just can't. There's not enough numbers to take away. So we know our first number has to be the big whole number, right? It has to be the 12. But what number is going to go next? Here's the cool thing. It really doesn't matter what number we put next for two reasons. Well, 1, they're the same number. So we don't need to overthink this. And 2, whatever number you use to put here will just go, or the third number will just go as the answer. And we're actually going to see that for number 2 in a minute. So let's finish up number 1 first. So it's the same number, so we're going to write 6 minus 12. And then, so we put the 6 here. And now where's this 6 going to go? Well, it's just going to go over here. So we know 6 plus 6 equals 12, and 12 minus 6 equals 6. These three numbers just work together to make two different kinds of math problems. Let me get a whole new set of dots up here so we can have a whole new number sentence for number 2, or a whole new related fact, I should say. Okay, now I made a very small adjustment to our number dots. Okay, so let's figure out what our new numbers are to make our addition sentence, because to me, that is the easiest one to start with. So let's look at our blue dots. How many blue dots do we have to fill in our first space? Well, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So for number 2, our first number is going to be 7, because we have 7 blue dots. And for our red dots over here, well, let's count them up, because they're going to be our second part number in our addition sentence. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So now we have 7 plus 6. And, well, if we look over here, we know 6 plus 6 is 12. We can use our plus 1 doubles facts to figure this out. So 7 is 1 more than 6. So it's a double plus 1. So that means it will be 1 more than this last answer we had. So 7 plus 6 is, of course, 13. Which means if we wanted to complete our chart, we would write it right up there. But now we have to write a related fact, a subtraction sentence for this addition fact. Well, we know which number we have to start with, right? We have to start. Do we start with the 6? No, no. That would just be silly. We have to start with the 13 because that is the answer that we just got. This is our whole number, our big whole number from our 2 parts that we added. So this has to go there, always. But now we have to figure out which number goes second that we're going to take away from 13. Well, you can really put either one, because whatever number you don't use now is going to be the answer. And I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. Let me just make a little bit of space here, because I'm actually going to need this room. Okay. So let's say that we make 13 minus, let's say we want to plug in that 7 there, right? So 13 minus 7, well, we could do this the hard way and use a number line, right? And find out that what the answer is. Or we can think, hey, these are related facts, and they have to all use the same 3 numbers. So we use the 13, check. We used the 7, check. And the only number left is the 6. So 13 minus 7 equals 6. Now, you might be thinking, well, Mr. Montgomery, that sounds all well and good and fantastic, but what if I didn't want to put the 13 minus 7? What if I really wanted 13 minus 6? Well, sure, you can do that. Absolutely. So we used the 13 already, right? Top and bottom. Check. We used the 6, top and bottom. Check. We could use a number line to figure this out, or we can use our related fact knowledge and think there is one number left that we did not use, and that's the 7. So the 7 would have to be dropped down. So then 13 minus 6 equals 7. But you know what? Let's do a even harder one to really challenge us. Okay, now I made an even tougher problem for us, okay? So let's see how many dots we have in the first part of our frame, or chart, you can call it whatever you like. Let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So our first number is going to be 7, because we have 7 blue dots. What about our red dots? Well, let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So now it's going to be 7 plus 8. Now this is a little bit tougher. There's a couple of ways we can figure this out. Well, I forgot to write the 8 up here. Well, one, we could just count all these dots and find out how many there are in all. Or we could use our double plus 1 fact that we've learned way back when and think to ourselves, well, I know 7 plus 7 is 14, but 8 is 1 more. So what's 1 more than 14? Well, that is 15. And to double check, we can count all these dots, right? So we'll count off from 7 because we know that there's 7 here. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Well, there we go. We just double checked our work. So we know that 7 plus 8 is 15. Now, how are we going to write a subtraction sentence, a subtraction related fact for this addition sentence that we wrote? Well, we know the first step, right? We know that the biggest number has to absolutely go first for subtraction. There is no arguing about that. This number has to go first. Ooh. Has to go first. So let's go ahead and write that in. 15 absolutely has to go first. Now, what number should we put second? No, I'm actually going to need this space again. Oopsie. Okay. But what number should we put second? Well, it doesn't matter if you remember exactly what we were talking about for the last one. So let's be crazy and say 15 minus 8. Now we can do a little checklist, watch. So do we use the big number for our related fact? We sure did. Check. Did we use one of the parts? We sure did. Check. And is there a part left that we didn't use? We used the 15. We used the 8. And the only number left is the 7. So it has to go where the answer is. That is our answer. So 15 minus 8 equals 7. But you might be thinking, but Mr. Montgomery, what if we don't want to do 15 minus 8? What if we want to do something a little crazier and put, let's see. What if we wanted to do 15 minus 7? Well, let's do our checklist again. So we have 15 for the addition and subtraction. Check. Do we have one of the parts? Yes, we do. Check. And is there a part left that we didn't use yet to make this subtraction sentence? Well, there sure is, and it's the 8. So then that would be our answer. Check. But you know what? Let's go to the inside and start doing some other problems. So everyone go ahead and open up your packets. Alright, I'll give you guys a couple seconds to go ahead and open up your packets so you see number 1 in the part that says guided practice. Alright, you should have your packets open to this page. Let's go over number 1 super quick because they kind of did it for us, but let's just look at what they did. Well, if we look at it, we see that the yellow has 6 dots. So they wrote the 6. The red has 7 dots. So they wrote 7. And what is 6 plus 7? Well, 6 plus 7 we know is 13. And then if we wanted to complete this chart, we just fill it in right here. But now we have to make a subtraction, a related fact. So, of course, we put that big 13 first. It has to go first. And then we can just pick one of these parts to take away from the whole number, right? So it's 13 minus, well, they use 7. Sure, we can do that. And then the last part that they didn't use yet was 6. And then we can go make a checklist to make sure that we did everything right. So is 13 the answer and also the first number in our subtraction sentence? Sure is. Check. Did they use a part from this addition sentence to take away? They sure did. And it's 7. Check. And did they use the last one for the answer, the last part from the addition sentence? Yes, they did. Check. All right. So now go ahead and try number 2 all on your own. I'll give you guys a couple minutes. Well, not really a couple minutes. Give you like 1 minute. And we will go over it together. All right, I think that might have been enough time for you. Let's go over number 2. So let's see how many yellow dots we have. Well, we have 8, so they wrote 8 for us. And then we have 7 red dots, so they wrote a 7 for us. And 8 plus 7 is, well, we actually did that earlier, didn't we? That is 15. So 8 plus 7 is 15. And we could finish our chart over here and write a little 15 in that box. But now what do we do for this subtraction sentence? Well, if you remember the rule, the answer, the big number, has to go first for the subtraction sentence. Nothing else can go there, or else it will not be a related fact. And let's see, what number do we want to put next? Well, it has to be one of these part numbers. It has to be 8 or 7. And I'm going to use 8. And let's check off what we're doing. The answer for the addition sentence is the first number that we used here. And check. And we used one of the parts from the addition sentence. Check. And there is one part left we didn't use, and that has to be the answer. And if you wanted to double check your work, you sure could. And you could use a number line or draw a picture real quick if you wanted. Either way. And real quick, do number 3 on your own, and then we'll go over that. And I'm just now realizing that we kind of did that on the front page, didn't we? I feel silly. But go ahead and do that real quick. All right. I'm hoping that was enough time for you. Let's go over it. Let's see. So we have 6 yellow dots. So at the row, a 6 for us, plus 6 red dots. And the row, another 6 for us. And of course, we know that 6 plus 6 is 12. And now to make a related fact, oh, you know what? I'm going to finish up this chart first. And to make a related fact, we of course have to put this big whole number, the 12, first in the subtraction sentence. And then what do we do next? Which number do we put for the second space here? 12 minus what? Well, we have 2 parts, and we have to use them. And lucky for us, they're the same number, so it really doesn't matter which part we pick. So we're going to put 6 here, and 12, well, you know, we use 12, check. We use 6, check. And what number is left? Well, it's another 6. And check. So that's all there is to it, guys. You're just reusing the same 3 numbers to make a subtraction sentence, which we have been doing all the time. And I know you guys are really familiar with this. So go ahead and try numbers 4 through 9 all on your own. Don't skip any, okay? And also do not tell anyone the answers. Please don't do that. I need to make sure everyone can do the work on their own and who needs help. So if you are confused at all about this, come see me and sit with my other friends and me on the carpet, and we can go over a little bit more, okay? Otherwise, have fun, and I'll talk to you guys soon.